Thank you very much. We allowed you to go over because some people need to hear you for the first time.
I greatly appreciate that, sir.
So, and thank you. As I said in my opening statements, Madam Secretary, we've sent requests for a number of information to you, and we've not gotten the information back. Can you commit to this committee to get that information back?
Apologies. Yes, sir.
And it's in detail. It's not where it needs to be. So I want to encourage you there. Asylum seekers. A lot of us have had an opportunity to talk to a number of people involved. Can you tell the committee why asylum seekers are being turned around contrary to law?
Sir, all asylum seekers have the opportunity to present their case. We're not turning anybody around. What we are doing is exercising statutory authority that enables us to, in conjunction with Mexico, to return to Mexico migrants who have arrived from that country to await their processing. This is to assure a safe and orderly flow and to ensure that their humanitarian rights are protected.
So your testimony is that, to your knowledge, no one presents themselves for asylum and is not presented their rights as to what they have to do.
Our policy and processes when we encounter, as you know, an alien is we do provide them with information on their legal rights, their ability to access counsel. I'm not sure if you're referring to credible fear. If you do not pass that initial credible fear screening, obviously then you can appeal that. But generally speaking, you do not go on to meet before an immigration judge for your asylum claim.
So is that something you do in writing or you do it orally?
Both. They are presented with information in writing, and then we also, of course, advise them orally.
Can you present this committee with the written direction that asylum seekers receive from your department when they present themselves?
Yes.
The other situation is the president made a comment that he really didn't need to do the emergency declaration. He just wanted to do it faster. Do you have any information for the committee as to what he was talking about?
My conversations, of course, with the president, generally speaking, are protected under privilege. But what I would say is his explanation in general and public has been that he hoped Congress would act, that it didn't have to come to issuing an emergency declaration if Congress had met his request to fund the resources that CBP has requested.
To your knowledge, are you aware of family members who've been separated from their children and deported back to a country without their children?
Yes, sir. Can
you provide this committee with a list of those individuals?
I'm happy to do that with the one caveat that, as you know, that's part of ongoing litigation in Miss L, and as long as there's no privacy concerns from the court, of course, we're happy to provide that. A lot of the information is in the Miss L court with respect to each migrant. I would also just note that, consistent with longstanding practice in the law, before we deport any alien after they have gone through the process and receive a final order of removal, we do ask them if they would like to take their children with them. At that same time, their consulate or embassy, for purposes of issuing them travel papers, also asks them, would you like to be removed with your children as you're removed? As part of Miss L, the judge also asked us to go back and ask the parents again in conjunction with the ACLU, which we did. So there was no parent who has been deported, to my knowledge, without multiple opportunities to take their children with them.
So is this with counsel present?
I'm sorry?
Is this with their attorney present?
I can't speak to every case with that, sir.
So
they have the right to a counsel, as you know, but the United States government does not pay for that pursuant to the law.
So explain how one would acquire counsel if they don't know it.
We give them lists of available resources, legal resources in the area. We work closely with the NGOs to ensure that they understand the options for that. And then certainly when they work with the consulates and embassies as part of that removal process to receive the travel authorization, the embassies and consulates also provide them with information and ability to access counsel.
Some of us have had an opportunity to see some of the enhanced barriers being placed on ports of entry. We tried to find a policy directive that said we should close lanes and put barriers on those concrete barriers and barbed wire. Are you familiar with any such policy?
The general direction for the safety of the migrants and the officers who work at the ports of entry is to ensure a controlled environment, particularly after we saw the violence from one of the caravans in the fall. Many of the local border chiefs, the OFO officers at the ports determined what was needed to ensure that there was safety and security at the port. So that's for the migrants, that's for the officers. So generally speaking, that was done on a case-by-case situation with the overall direction to ensure the integrity and safety of that area.
So there's no written policy?
It's not a policy, sir, per se, but the direction is clear to protect officers and migrants and ensure a safe and orderly flow. To do that, we have to make sure that the migrants go through the designated area. So the enhancements to the port of entry was to disable them from at their own risk, which we have seen many times run across lanes of traffic or try to go around a port of entry.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes the ranking member.